Hi students, in this video I'll be going through some questions pertaining to the subject of formula. Alright, so let's read the first question. So it is given that A equals to 4B minus 5C over B plus C. So express B in terms of A and C. Alright, so when they phrase the question like this, they ask you to express B in terms of A and C. In other words, they are asking us to make B the subject of the formula. Okay, so what does it mean to make B the subject of the formula? So basically, they want us to rearrange this equation over here into a form such that we have B equals to a particular expression on the right side of the equation. Okay, but on this right side of the equation, B cannot appear. Okay, so B cannot be there. Okay, so B cannot be here. All right, so B cannot be on the right side of the equation. So the left side should just be a B with a coefficient of 1. All right, so let's take a look at a question like this. Okay, so A equals to 4B minus 5C over B plus C. Right, so one of the methods to deal with a question like this, so if you look at the expression in this form, right, um, there's actually just only one thing that you can do to manipulate now, right? And the thing that you can do would be to multiply the B plus C to the other side. Okay, in other words, multiply B plus C on both sides lah. All right. Okay, so if we were to do that, we will get A times B plus C equals to 4B minus 5C. All right, so that is what we can do. Okay, there's technically nothing else that we can do given the initial form of the uh, equation. Okay, then what we want to do next will be to always expand it, right? So to expand the left side, we will get AB plus AC equals to 4B minus 5C. All right, then over here, we want to make B the subject of the formula, right? So we want to bring all the terms with B to one side of the equation. Okay, then at the same time, we also want to try to minimize the number of terms that are negative, right? So what do I mean by this? Okay, so let's say if I bring the B to all the terms with B to the left side, right? Okay, so I will be able to get this first form. Okay, so I'll write it by the side. AB. Okay, so I'm going to bring the 4B from the right side to the left side. So I'll get minus 4B. All right. Okay, then the right side already has negative 5C. Now I bring the AC to the right side. So I have this. Okay, so one way is to do that. Bring the B terms to the left, and then I will end up with this equation. Okay, the second option will be to bring the B terms to the right, and then the rest of the terms without B to the left side. Okay, so this will be what we have. Okay, so AC is on the left side already. We bring the negative 5C to the left side, so it becomes positive 5C. Okay, 4B is on the right already, so 4B there. Okay, then we bring the AB to the uh, right side. So we have this. Okay, so if you compare these two forms of the equation, 1 and 2, okay, they are actually the same equation. Okay, just that the first one, I've brought the B terms to the left side, the rest of the terms to the right side. Whereas for the second form, I've brought the rest of the terms to the left side and the B terms to the right side. Okay, so you can see over here, the second form is better because the terms are mostly positive. Three terms are positive, one is negative. Whereas for the first form, one term is positive, and then we have three terms that are negative. Right, so we would try to go for this form, right? Okay, so we will have AC plus 5C equals to 4B minus AB, right? Okay, then what we will always do here is this. Since we want to make B the subject, we want to factorize out the B from the right side. Okay, so we will get 4 minus A. Then finally, the last step would always be to divide, okay, both sides by the term that is multiplying by the b, okay, the term that you want to make the subject. So in this case, we have 4 minus a times b, right? So we will divide both sides by 4 minus a, and then we will just get b alone, all right? Okay, but at the same time now, you can actually just flip the equation because if we were to divide both sides by 4 minus a, we will get ac plus 5c over 4 minus a equals to b, right? Okay, but writing this is the same as writing this, right? AC plus 5C over 4 minus A. Okay, so in math, we would usually prefer, if you want to make subject of formula, be the subject of formula, we would want to write it on the left side. Okay, that will be a better way to present your working. Right, so this would be the final answer. Okay, so in your exam, you would write the entire thing inside the answer space. So B equals to AC plus 5C over 4 minus A. Right, so this would be the answer. Right, let's take a look at the second question. Okay, let me erase away this thing first. All right, rearrange the formula, okay, to make x the subject of the formula. Right, so the same thing. Okay, there's only technically one thing you can do for this equation right now, which is to multiply both sides by x squared minus a, right? So we will get y equals to x squared minus a equals to x squared plus 3. Okay, then like the previous question, the next thing to do would be to expand it. Alright, then since now we want to make x the subject, we will gather all the terms with x together, and those without x, we will put to the other side of the equation. Okay, so in this case, keep in mind also we want to have as many positive terms as possible. So for this particular question, we will bring the x terms to the left side. Okay, so the right side will be ay plus 3. Okay, so now we have 3 positive terms and 1 negative term, so that is good. Okay, so factor same thing. Okay, just now we factorize out x, but now since we have x squared, we will factorize out x squared instead. So we will get this. Right? Okay, then now the term that is multiplying with the x squared, we will just divide both sides by it. So we will end up with x squared equals to ay plus 3 over y minus 1. Okay, but the answer is not looking for x squared. Okay, we want to make x the subject. Right, so now let's go back to this. Let's discuss how we can complete this question. So if x squared is, let's say, 4, right? So now we need to ask ourselves what number times x squared, what number you square it, you can get 4. Right? What number you square, you can get 4. So we know that the answer is 2 lah. Right? 2. Okay, but how did we get 2 from 4? Okay, so we know of this function square root, right? So you can see, okay, to get from x, if we have x squared equals to 4, to find the value of x, we will square root the number, right? So in other words, right, x will be square root of this thing. Right, but if in the exam you were to leave your answer like this, you'll find that you will not be able to get the entire 4 marks, right? So what is missing over here? Okay, now another question that we want to ask. Besides the number 2, right? 2 square give me 4. What other number you square can give us 4? Right, so if you think about it, the other number that you can square would be negative 2. Okay, in other words, x besides being square root 4, it can also be negative of square root 4. Okay, so if we were to combine both of these solutions together, okay, we will write in this form, plus minus square root 4. Okay, positive square root 4 for this side, okay, this answer, negative square root 4 for this answer. Alright, so what we need to add in here would be plus minus. Right? Okay, so I hope you understand what has been going on so far, right? Okay, so do spend some time thinking about what has just been mentioned. Right, let's look at one last question. So over here, now we have a term that has a square root. So a equals to square root of 3b plus 4c over 5 minus b, right? Okay, so we have this particular equation. Okay, so how do we then deal with this? Okay, so let's say we have x equals to the square root of 3. Okay, so how do we then deal with a question like this to get rid of the square root? Because now they want us to make b the subject, right? And b is inside the square root sign. So b is sort of like trapped within the square root. So how can we remove the square root? Okay, so let's say in math, okay, the reverse operation of square root would be square, right? So let's try to square both sides. Okay, so if you were to press in your calculator now, okay, you try to square the square root of 3, you'll find that you end up with the answer 3. So you can see that, okay, when you square a term with a square root, what it does is that it just removes the square root. Okay, so you can try other values. You can try to square root of 5. You will notice you get 5. Okay, then you try to square maybe square root of 7, you end up with 7. So squaring a term with square root will just remove the square root. Okay, so in order to remove the square root now, we're going to square this term. Alright. Okay, but remember in math, whatever you do on the right side, you got to do the same thing on the left side of the equation. Okay, so from here, we will be left with this 3b plus 4c over 5 minus b. Okay, then from here, it will just be something similar to the previous question. So multiply both sides by 5 minus b. Okay, so we end up with this. Okay, then you find that it's rather standard already, right? Expand. Okay, bring the terms with b to one side. Okay, but at the same time, try to minimize the number of negative values. Okay, so over here, you realize that it will be better to group the non b terms on the left side. Okay, so we'll do it this way. Square b plus 3b. All right. Okay, so now we will factorize out the b from the right side. B a squared plus 3. And now one final step to divide both sides by a squared plus 3. Okay, but we can at the same time write the b on the left side. Right, so this would be the final answer. B equals to 5a squared minus 4c over a squared plus 3. Right? Okay, so I hope that this video has been helpful, okay, in explaining to you how to make a particular term, okay, the subject of the formula. Right?